I just want to add a footnote to the Yentl story about the play in 1974. The actress who played the lead was Tovah Feldshuh.
Wow.
And at the beginning of her career, I mean, this is 50 years ago, and that was very brave to take on that role. I mean, when I think back on it. But it was a great performance. I remember it very, very well. It was a highlight of my 70s events. Okay, I'm going to read 3 poems, prose poems, some of them. The first one is by someone that I think you all know, or probably most of you know, is by Grace Paley, the late great Paley. She was definitely my role model. I always said when I first met her, if I grow old, I want to be a short Jewish woman just like Grace Paley, because she was very short. She was even shorter than I am. And she was very Jewish, and she represented everything that I wanted to be. This is a poem, a prose poem by Grace Paley, and it's called Responsibility. Cassandra is a mythical Greek figure who was given the incredible gift of prophecy and the incredible curse of nobody listening to her and believing her. It is the responsibility of society to let the poet be a poet. It is the responsibility of the poet to be a woman. It is the responsibility of the poets to stand on street corners giving out poems and beautifully written leaflets. Also leaflets they can hardly bear to look at because of the screaming rhetoric. It is the responsibility of the poet to be lazy, to hang out, and prophesy. It is the responsibility of the poet not to pay war taxes. It is the responsibility of the poet to go in and out of ivory towers and 2-room apartments on Avenue C and buckwheat fields and army camps. It is the responsibility of the male poet to be a woman. It is the responsibility of a female poet to be a woman. It is the poet's responsibility to speak truth to power, as the Quakers say. It is the poet's responsibility to learn the truth from the powerless. It is the responsibility of the poet to say many times, there is no freedom without justice, and this means economic justice and love justice. It is the responsibility of the poet to sing this in all the original and traditional tunes of singing and telling poems. It is the responsibility of the poet to listen to gossip and pass it on in the way storytellers decant the story of life. There is no freedom without fear and bravery. There is no freedom unless earth and air and water continue and children also continue. It is the responsibility of the poet to be a woman, to keep an eye on the world and cry out like Cassandra, but be listened to this time. If you want a copy of it, just go on the internet, look up Responsibility and Grace Paley, and you'll find it. It's a wonderful, wonderful directive. This is, next thing I want to read is by an American Palestinian poet. Naomi Shihab Nye, I don't know how many of you read her, she's quite well known. Wonderful, wonderful poet. This is a prose poem called Gate A4, the gate like you have at an airport. Wandering around the Albuquerque airport terminal after learning my flight had been delayed 4 hours, I heard an announcement. If anyone in the vicinity of Gate A4 understands any Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Well, one pauses these days. Gate 4 was my own gate. I went there. An older woman in full traditional Palestinian embroidered dress, just like my grandma wore, was crumpled to the floor, wailing. "Help," said the flight agent. "Talk to her. What is her problem?" We told her the flight was going to be late, and she did this. I stooped to put my arm around the woman and spoke haltingly. "Shu doa, shu bedok, habibiti, stam shwai, min fadlik, shu bitziwi." The minute she heard any words she knew, however poorly used, she stopped crying. She thought the flight had been canceled entirely. She needed to be in El Paso for major medical treatment the next day. I said, "No, we're fine. You'll get there. Just later. Who's picking you up? Let's call him." We called her son. I spoke with him in English. I told him I would stay with his mother till we got on the plane and ride next to her. She talked to him. Then we called her other sons, just for the fun of it. Then we called my dad, and he and she spoke for a while in Arabic and found out, of course, that they had 10 shared friends. Then I thought, for the heck of it, why not call some Palestinian poets I know and let them chat with her? This all took up 2 hours. She was laughing a lot by then, telling of her life, patting my knee, answering questions. She had pulled a sack of homemade mameloshn cookies, little powdered, sugared, crumbly mounds stuffed with dates and nuts, from her bag, and was offering them to all the women at the gate. To my amazement, not a single woman declined one. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the mom from California, the lovely woman from Laredo. We were all covered with the same powdered sugar and smiling. There is no better cookie. And then the airline broke out free apple juice from huge coolers, and 2 little girls from our flight ran around serving it, and they were covered with powdered sugar too. And I noticed my new best friend, by now we were holding hands, had a potted plant poking out of her bag, some medicinal thing with green, furry leaves. Such an old country tradition. Always carry a plant, always stay rooted to somewhere. And I looked around that gate of late and weary ones, and I thought, this is the world I want to live in, the shared world. Not a single person in that gate, once the crying of confusion stopped, seemed apprehensive about any other person. They took the cookies. I wanted to hug all those other women too. This can still happen anywhere. Not everything is lost. Naomi Nye. You can also find this on the internet if you want to print it out. It's called Gate A4. The last thing I'm going to read, I want to leave it with a Yiddish word, but it's from my favorite Yiddish poet, who is Rokhl Korn. I don't know how many people know her work. Yay, Rokhl. Rokhl actually started writing originally in Polish. She made a switch. She actually published originally in Polish and then switched to Yiddish. This is a favorite poem of mine. I'm going to read it in my translation first, and then I'm going to read the full poem in Yiddish. It's called From Jener Zayt Lied, On the Poem's Other Side, Rokhl Korn. On the poem's other side, there's a secret, an orchard and a house with a roof of thatch. 3 pines stand communing in silence, 3 sentinels posted on an eternal watch. On the poem's other side, there's a bird with yellow-brown feathers, a bright red breast. Every winter it flies to this orchard and sits like a bud on its barren nest. On the poem's other side, there's a road sliced narrow, thin, so razor sharp fine, and there someone wanders barefoot and mute, a ghost lost along the passage of time. On the poem's other side, wondrous things can occur, even now in this hour clouded and gray, as it presses against the pane of the glass, the feverish longing of a wounded day. On the poem's other side, my mother stands wrapped in the doorway a moment in the fading light and calls me home like long ago, long ago. Enough play now, don't you see? It's night. Von jener Lied von Rokhl Korn. Von jener Lied ist Sod voran und in Sod ist Haus mit streuendem Dach. Es stehen 3 Sosnes und schweigen sie Haus, 3 Schomeren auf ständiger Wach. Von jener Lied ist Vogel voran, Vogel bräungelb mit rötlicher Brust. Kommt dort zu fliehen jeden Winter aufs Snei und hängt wie ein Knosp auf dem Nackenbrust. Von jener Lied ist Stetschke voran, so schmal und scharf wie der Dienster Schnitt. Und Emmets, was hat sich verblanchert in Zeit, geht dort mit Stille und Bohrwassertritt. Von jener Lied können Wunder geschehen, noch heint in der Tag, wo es ist Chmarne und grau. Wenn daffert rein in dem Glas von der Scheu, die zerfieberte Bänkschaft von der windiger Schau. Von jener Lied kann meine Mama heraus und stehen auf der Schwell wie eine Weile vertracht. Und wir rufen nach heim, wie einmal, wie einmal. Genug sich gespielt schon, du sagst nicht, es ist Nacht. Thank you.